Hey everyone. You know how sometimes you hear about a really tough news story and you just want to understand it better without getting bogged down?
Exactly. That's what we're aiming for today.
We're doing a deep dive into that shooting that happened at a church Easter egg hunt down in Gulfport, Mississippi.
Yeah, it's a really difficult one. We're working mainly from a CBS News report here, trying to get a clear picture of, the key events, who was involved, and the immediate aftermath.
Right, just trying to process it, almost like talking it through. Okay, so basics first. Where and when did this actually happen? It was Saturday, wasn't it? At an Easter egg hunt.
That's correct, Saturday. And it was specifically an event hosted by the Empowerment Ministries Christian Center.
Okay.
They were holding it in Jack and Florence Golden Park, which is a public park there in Gulfport.
So a church event out in public for families, kids.
Precisely. What should have been a really happy, community occasion.
Mm-hmm.
And then this violence erupts.
Yeah. And the why is, well, the report said authorities are calling it a domestic dispute gone wrong. That sounds, well, awful, especially at an event like that.
It's incredibly disturbing. The CBS affiliate, WLOX, they reported that it apparently stemmed from an argument over child custody.
Wow.
So yeah, it looks like a personal conflict that just tragically exploded in this public space.
And WLOX also mentioned something about someone stepping in.
Yes, witnesses apparently saw Deacon Eddie Shedd trying to protect the children when the shooting started.
Deacon Eddie Shedd. Okay, so he's with the church.
Mm-hmm. Identified as a deacon and also the head of security for Empowerment Ministries.
And he was killed while trying to intervene.
Yes, just devastating. The report confirms he died right there at the scene.
Oh, man.
You get a real sense of the man from what Pastor Greg McGee said, described him as a pillar of strength.
Yeah.
And a beacon of light and hope. The pastor even said his actions ultimately saved others from harm.
Wow. That's incredibly powerful, saved others.
It really is. The church itself, in their statement, called him a true hero.
A true hero. It sounds like he really lived that out.
Definitely seems that way. They said he dedicated his life to serving others. And, the human side of this. He leaves behind his wife, Doris, and their 3 children.
Oh, that's just awful. You can't imagine what they're going through.
Absolutely heartbreaking.
Yeah.
And he wasn't the only victim, sadly.
Right. The report mentioned others were wounded.
Yes, 2 other people were wounded in the shooting.
Okay. Any word on how they are?
Well, WLOX initially reported that at least one of them had life-threatening injuries. We don't have a more recent update from the CBS report, but it just underscores how far-reaching the impact was.
Definitely. And what about the person or people who did this? The report says police detained 3 people.
That's right. 3 people detained in connection with the incident. That suggests, they're still sorting out exactly who did what.
Sure, it makes sense. Multiple people involved, maybe, or witnesses.
Could be. And Empowerment Ministries, the church, they made a point of stating that the shooter or shooters weren't affiliated with their church.
Okay, so that reinforces the domestic dispute angle, that it was external to the church event itself.
It seems to point that way, yeah.
Yeah.
An outside conflict brought to their gathering.
And it mentioned CBS News reached out to Gulfport Police for more details, but didn't hear back immediately.
Yeah, which is, pretty standard in these situations.
Right. I guess they need time to investigate properly. Can't rush that.
Exactly. They need to be thorough, collect evidence, talk to everyone. So a delay in comment isn't unusual.
Okay. So beyond the incident itself and the people involved, what about the community's reaction? The church obviously must be reeling.
Oh, absolutely. Their official statement really expressed that deep sorrow, calling it a senseless act of gun violence. It's clear it hit them very, very hard.
Yeah.
And they moved quickly to practical support, too. They set up a GoFundMe campaign for Deacon Shedd's family.
Ah, okay. That's good to hear. Did the report say how that was going?
It did. The goal was set at $25,000, and as of Monday morning, when the report was filed, they'd already raised about $4,700.
Wow, that quickly. That really does show something about how people felt about him.
It really does.
Yeah.
A clear sign of the community trying to rally around his family.
Yeah.
The church specifically asked people to contribute to honor his legacy, his love and service.
Yeah. It's one of those things, isn't it? When something like this happens, you inevitably think about the bigger picture. Gun violence is mentioned briefly.
Right, and it's impossible not to acknowledge that context exists.
But the focus here, and I think rightly so for this deep dive, is really on this specific event. Understanding what happened in Gulfport, honoring Deacon Shedd's bravery, seeing the community's response.
Exactly. We're trying to understand the human story here, the immediate impact on these people, this church, this community.
So kind of pulling it together,
Mm.
we have this church Easter egg hunt, a happy event, shattered by what seems to be a domestic dispute spilling over.
Uh,
Tragically, Deacon Eddie Shedd, who was head of security and trying to protect kids, is killed.
yeah. A real act of heroism, by all accounts.
And two other people are injured, one potentially very seriously. Police have detained 3 individuals.
Correct. And importantly, the shooter wasn't part of the church community.
Right, and now that community is responding, particularly through the GoFundMe, trying to support Deacon Shedd's grieving family.
That sums it up well. The shock, the heroism, the immediate community support coming through in the face of tragedy.
It really makes you pause and think, doesn't it, about that kind of courage, someone just stepping up in a moment of pure chaos.
It absolutely does. That instinct to protect others.
And also how communities do try to pull together afterwards, offering support, raising funds. It's that resilience, maybe.
Yeah, resilience is a good word for it. It shows that even in the darkest times, people look for ways to help, to connect, to honor someone.
It's a stark contrast, isn't it? The senseless violence and then that immediate, compassionate human response.
It truly is. And maybe just a final thought to leave people with. Think about the ripple effects. Beyond the immediate loss and injury, how does an event like this change a community's feeling of safety, especially in places meant for joy, like a park during an Easter event?
Yeah, that sense of security. It must be shaken. Something to definitely reflect on, the sort of visible scars these things can leave on a whole community.
Exactly. The longer-term impact is something worth considering.